that the NSA is using a multitude of programs with names like PRISM and Boundless Informant to engage in mass dragnet surveillance of every American citizen. These revelations have completely redefined the notion of intelligence gathering and shed light on technologies that were incomprehensible mere years ago. But two former NSA insiders saw the rise of the surveillance state long before the world knew Edward Snowden's name. Bill Binney was an NSA technical director from 1965 to 2001, and Kirk Wiebe was senior analyst in the NSA from 1975 to 2001. In the months following the 9/11 attacks, these two men witnessed a complete transformation of the government agency they had worked for decades and were forced to retire due to the grave concerns of the illegal and unconstitutional direction of the agency. So here to discuss their experiences at the NSA as well as what the Snowden revelations mean for all of us, I'm joined now by Bill Binney and Kirk Wiebe. Thank you so much, both of you, for coming on. Bill, I wanted to start with you. You were one of the creators of the pre-9/11 data collection surveillance program called Thin Thread, which actually did have privacy protections and stated for American citizens. Why was this program abandoned, and what kind of system replaced it?
Well, it actually wasn't abandoned. The back part of the analysis part, the part that allowed them to deal with massive amounts of data and index it, was taken in to manage. That was the way they actually were able to build surveillance on the entire world. That particular program was that powerful, and that's why we put in those protections so that it would be impossible for them to abuse it. And that was the first thing they removed when they took it into the new program, Stellar Wind.
And Kirk, after you guys found out about what they had done to Thin Thread, how did you, Bill, and other intelligence insiders address these concerns within the government, and how were those concerns met from officials?
Well, in reality, we had been trying to address what was going on at NSA in terms of modernization for years. And it's kind of like 9/11, the events of 9/11 were the culmination in our minds of our failure to get those at the agency to see the potential of what we were developing, what Bill had invented in the Thin Thread project. And it was within 6 weeks of 9/11 that we end up, Ed Loomis, myself, Bill Binney, retiring from NSA in absolute disgust because we had failed. We had been trying to tell them they were going to fail, and we lost the battle.
And Bill, in 2007, the FBI raided both of your homes, along with other officials who had spoken out on the false premise that you guys had leaked classified documents or information to the press. What was that experience like for you, and were you surprised at the aggressiveness of the response?
Good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
Welcome to Wake Up America. My name's Phil Marie, and Walter Kopaczynski, the 15th, the Polish Prince of Polka.
All right.
So, tonight's show, we have, as you've seen, the video, we have a couple callers calling in. Bill Binney, Kirk Wiebe, they're going to be talking about the NSA bulk data, the recent so-called sunsetting of the data, which really nothing changed. So, but they'll be calling in at the White House with the Pentagon cover-up for the investigation, ignoring the intelligence on terrorists. And why would they do that? You know,
Why is Obama and Bernie Sanders saying global warming is more dangerous than the terrorists? They firmly believe that.
It's crazy. Hello, who's this, Bill or Kirk?
Kirk.
Kirk, how are you?
Kirk, nice to hear you.
Hey, Phil. Hi, Wally.
How you doing, brother?
Pretty good, sir.
Where's Bill? Is he still at Fox News?
No, he's home. I don't know why he's not on unless something's come up at the last minute.
Okay.
What I can do is give him a call, Phil, if you want me to see what's going on, and then I can jump back on.
Okay. Why don't you do that and then call right back, and we'll cover a few more things before that.
Yep, I'll do that. And Bill just had a very interesting experience down at Fox News that he might want to tell you about.
Great. Well, hopefully you can get him.
All right, I'll do it right now, and I'll call back.
Okay, thanks, Kirk.
Bye-bye.
What station is he on? It's Fox News.
Fox News, the main Fox News, the mainstream Fox News,
Oh, okay.
not local Fox News.
Okay, all right.
Yeah. He just Bill Binney just had an interview. I thought they told me at 6 o'clock, so I don't know what. He should be. Kirk says he's home, so we'll see. But, anyways, so we have all these cover-ups and everything, and Reg, camera 1. All right, see that, everyone? You're looking at Thomas Drake, okay?
Right, that's in the middle, right?
Yeah, Thomas Drake. He is on the enemy of the state list, believe it or not. NSA whistleblower Thomas Drake. And thanks, Reg. And that list is right here on the table in front of us. But Thomas couldn't call in tonight. He's working late. He is going to reschedule and probably do a show separately with us. And there's been a lot in the news about how they hid evidence and what have you in his case when they tried to put this guy in jail. And I have some incredible videos when we have him on to show, even like 60 Minutes, showing how he didn't do anything different than many others that would simply get fired for what he did, if even. And they tried to put him in jail for all those years, including Kirk and Bill, which is interesting.
Yeah.
Held them at gunpoint,
Wow.
stormed their houses. You heard the story here with Bill Binney, where they held a gun at his head, getting out of the shower. I mean, over what? I mean, they couldn't let the guy get dressed or something. I don't know. It's crazy. Here we go here. Oh, we got him calling in now. Who's this? Bill or
Hey,
Kirk?
Bill, this is Bill.
Okay, Bill, hold on.
Okay.
And Kirk, you there?
Yes, Phil.
Hallelujah. Amen. we got them both.
All right.
Great. So I was just telling the viewers, I showed them the enemy of the state list, where Thomas Drake is on that list, and people who have caused harm to this country. I think this present administration in the White House is what we should be more worried about than someone like Thomas Drake. What do you guys say?
Well,
I think that's absolutely right.
It doesn't make sense. So anyways, let's start with you, Bill. You were pretty busy tonight, I guess, huh?
Yeah, I'd go run down to D.C. to get on Fox for a short period. They interviewed me for about 20 minutes. I think they took 30 seconds of it.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Well, I guess that's how the TV business works. You take all that footage.
They let a lot of disinformation about from the government on in front of me, and they didn't really allow any. Like, for example, they talked about encryption being used by the people who did the attack in Paris.
Yeah, I've always been
there wasn't any
disappointed.
encryption. They used short messaging, with the phones, and also with social media. They used that. None of it was encrypted. I believe some of the producers down there didn't want some of this on the net, so I don't.
That could be.
I just think they cut it short. That's all.
Yeah.
So what type of disinformation were they peddling on you, Bill?
Well, they were talking about we need these bulk acquisition data system. We need to keep taking the bulk acquisition stuff. We shouldn't stop this bulk acquisition of phone records or any of that other stuff. When in fact, dropping that did very little to their effort because they already get all that data on the upstream program. And I brought I brought a diagram from Edward Snowden down on the Fairview program that shows over the 100 taps on the fiber network across the 48 states of the United States, and it's distributed with the population. Now, if they were after foreign communications and foreigners calling in and people calling foreigners, they should have all those tap points should have been along the coast, where the transoceanic cables surface, because that's where all the foreign communications come into and go out of the U.S. But that's not what it was. You see, all the tap points were distributed right across the U.S. with the population. So that tells you the target is not foreigners, it's domestic.
Now, what's the difference of this latest thing where they said this program ended? Did it really end, or is it what's up with that?
No, I think all they did was say the telecommunications companies have to hold the telephone metadata instead of getting it through a FISA general warrant, like they did with Verizon. Turn over the records of 110 plus million U.S. citizens, and do it quarterly every day or something, So all they did was say let the telecoms handle it. That means NSA, when they want data from it, will have to do a distributed query. That is, they'll send the same query to all of them and get returns from all of them, just like Google does with their data centers,
So you're telling me that the telecoms are holding everyone's information and data. Are they accessing it?
Yeah, well, that's they're supposed to go through a query to them to get the data.
So
they have to go through an asking process, which is simply a distributed query.
So that gives
the same thing as a straight query, except you're only instead of going into one database, you're going into half a dozen or so.
So that gives a lot of power to these telecoms. For instance, NBC is owned by Comcast, and if Comcast is holding this data, and NBC technically could access that, no?
Yeah, they could start data mining it, yeah.
See, that's why I like having you guys on the air, because you can't find the truth out there, and you even proved it. Even Fox News was trying to give you this disinformation. What's the whole purpose behind all this?
Well, I think it's to continue the narrative because, Phil, there's an awful lot of money behind this program of bulk acquisition of data. I mean, they had to build a $2.2 billion facility in Bluffdale, Utah, just to store the data they were collecting. Now they're planning on that being full probably around 5 or 6 years from now. So they've issued a environmental statement, impact statement for a new building they're building over here at Fort Meade, which is a 2.8 million square foot building, 3 times the size of Utah, right? So they could store more data and put about 7,000 analysts in it to do stuff. I don't know what they're going to do, but the point is that when Utah gets full, they'll be ready to store stuff over here.
So we talked about using it for future blackmail in previous shows, which is obvious. Now, this gives the telecoms the power to use some of this as blackmail also, correct?
Well, if they data mine it, yeah. They have some potential to do that with the metadata, that's right.
Well, how can they not look at it? If they're holding stuff and they have a grudge maybe against a conservative talk radio show host or anything that goes against their political agenda, why wouldn't they dig through it and see what's in there?
Well,
no.
That's the problem I have with the government having all this data. That's why we have the Fourth Amendment, the Constitution, that basically doesn't allow the government to have that data because that's a lot of power. That's really what the Fourth Amendment was all about. We, the people, were supposed to know what the government was doing on our behalf, not the reverse. And we've got the reverse now.
Wow. Kirk, what do you say about this?
Well, let me go back to what happened to Bill at Fox News. Quick story, a little background. About 3 years ago, Fox was doing extensive filming at Bill's house, my house, Tom Drake's house, Ed Loomis, even went out west to see Diane Rourke, overflew the Bluffdale facility in a helicopter to photograph the immense size of a 1 million square foot building. None of that ended up on Fox News. It was they had told us that they were going to do two things. They were going to get some short clips used to bolster the evening news special report with Brett Baer and use some of what they filmed. And then the other thing they were going to do is a hour or longer, maybe even 3-hour documentary in 3 pieces on our entire story. Never happened. Now imagine a year ago, this last summer, I get a phone call from Catherine Herridge saying, "Hey, Kirk, do you remember my producer that was out at your house, so-and-so?" And I said, "Yeah." "Guess who she's working for?" I said, "Who?" She said, "NSA."
No.
Wow.
So, now, roll forward to now. Bill goes down to do a piece on the NSA bulk metadata, phone metadata program ending.
That was at the request of Catherine Herridge.
Yep, that was at her request. He's on for about 10, maybe 15 seconds and gets to say one thing, and that is there's analysis paralysis, which basically says the NSA is not succeeding because they have a glut of information. They don't have any way to get the needles out of the haystack. And that's why we have Paris, Charlie Hebdo, the underwear bomber, Fort Hood, Boston Marathon, all failures to prevent. And then we have Paris. Same problem. French have the same problem NSA does. In fact, they're probably instructed by NSA. So the bottom line is you have body parts and people dead, and then they go look after the fact and find out the guys use telephones, car rentals, bank deposits, GPS tracking, and as Bill mentioned, text messaging to pull off the operation. And yet senior officials in our government are going around saying, "See, that's why we can't have encryption," inferring that the guys used encryption over there. They didn't. There's no evidence they used any encryption. And yet Catherine Herridge's piece tonight had basically inferred that they were using encryption, and therefore it was important, according to government officials, to have access to the metadata. So it's inaccurate reporting in my view, and I just sent Ms. Herridge a note. She's a nice lady. We don't know what part producers have played. All I know is we need the truth out there, guys, and without the truth, we can't even govern ourselves.
Hey, Kirk, that is absolutely amazing, and it doesn't surprise me, and it really doesn't that Fox would be like that, but...
Well, it's not just Fox, though, Phil. It's all of them.
Well, I say Fox because they were at one time the only ones who would try to expose the truth.
Yeah, no, I don't disagree with that, but I'm just saying that we are being poorly served by our press, period.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Big time, big time. They're abusing our America. That's what they're doing.
Yep.
They all got political agendas, and it frightens me.
And that underlines the importance of media like your show, yours and Wally's there, Phil. I mean, I'm seeing truth only by way of small, non-traditional media. If you really want to get the truth, you can't go to the mainstream media to get it.
You know, we all have a sense that that's going on, but we still wanted to hold on to, like, Fox Network or the... What's up with that Newsmax?
I don't have a feel. Now, I know Newsmax rings a bell. I've seen things from them in the past. I don't think I've seen much from them in the recently. But at one time, I know I used to see their stuff all the time.
They're still
I don't have a sense of where they're going.
they're still trying to develop their programs. It's taken them a while, but they have some good guests and they cover some good subjects. But they're still new in the business, and I get their magazine every month, and it's a good magazine. I get a lot of information from it, and they seem to be balanced, a little leaning to the right, that's what I want. But Newsmax, I think we have to give them a little break there because they're still working hard, and we don't know how their financing is, how strong they are financially. But it's going to take a little while for them because look how long it took, a lot of companies.
Sure.
Well, that's true.
Have either one of you guys been on with Glenn Beck yet?
Several times, but it's been I think a year or so since I've been on.
With
Kirk's been
Glenn
on
Beck?
too, I think.
Yeah, we used to hear from Glenn Beck reasonably frequently, but not in the last, oh God, what do you think, Bill? A couple years, maybe? Year and a half?
That's, well, at least a year and a half, let's say, something like that.
Wow.
I hear him all the time. I listen
Well, no,
to him.
he's a fabulous person.
Oh, yeah, I agree with that. It's
He has
just
his own radio show.
Well, he's got his own television network too
yeah.
on the satellite. So,
Now, as far as Glenn Beck is concerned, this is only my opinion. I have no proof of this. But Beck exposed Van Jones. Van Jones was in administration of Obama, and he's a communist. He's a proud communist. And when he was exposed by Beck, Fox News didn't stick up for him and released him, let him go. And he went on his own and has his own program now. But Fox was intimidated by the communist movement in this country, and they promised to destroy Fox News with bad ads and everything else. And I was a little ashamed of them for doing that.
Well, there's an indicator another indicator that the press can be influenced by power.
Yep.
sure.
Yep.
Have you guys heard? There's a story going around, fairly recent, and Walmart hired Lockheed Martin to spy on their employees, keep tabs on their employees. Have you guys seen that story?
Yeah, I did see it, and it just smacks of police state movement, fascism, police state. Call it what you want, but between industry spying on people and helping the government, they might as well all be part of one big, large, monolithic movement to spy on all of us. It's just shocking.
I'm amazed because there's so many Walmarts and so many people work there. Not only are they spying on the employees, but they're also watching the customers go through the store, is my best guess. With facial recognition, everything else they have. And recently, when Obama was down in the Philippines, did you guys hear him talk about biometrics?
I did not.
What was that, Bill?
I didn't hear that, no.
No? Nope. I have an article, I covered it last week a little bit, and he spoke about biometrics in this video, and I played the video, because they said how are they going to keep track of the Syrian refugees and everything, and he said with biometrics it's very, very easy, and so I covered what biometrics is in real quick. I'll just run down the list. It includes fingerprints, DNA, facial recognition, hand, retina, ear features, odor. Also, the behavior of a person, their typing rhythm in the gait or the way they walk, in gestures, and voice. I mean, all this, monitoring keystrokes, and at the end of this article on biometric use on people, other areas that are being explored in the quest to improve biometric authentication include brainwave signals, electronic tattoos, and a password pill that contains a microchip powered by the acid present in the stomach. Once swallowed, it creates a unique ID radio signal that can be sensed from outside the skin, turning the entire body into a password. What do you guys think of that?
It really sounds. I'm not denying. I don't think that's not impossible. I mean, sure, that could possibly do that for sure. I mean, that's how you keep track of your dogs and things. Put little implants under the skin, things like that. Yeah, so I mean, that's certainly feasible. It's not beyond the current technology, that's for sure.
No, this is an article. This is a biometric article that explains everything. It's not any.
No, I'm saying it's well within the technology today. Yeah.
Oh yeah. It wasn't like a conspiracy type article. It was more of a scientific type article, and I just keep thinking about how easy they can put something in your food or whatever in a pill, and have a microchip enlarged in your stomach, and the acids from your stomach fuel the microchip. How creepy? How much more creepier can this world get?
Well, it's like this, Phil. If you go on the web and Google a program called Treasure Map, one word, Treasure Map and NSA.
Yeah.
That's really two words. Treasure Map is one word, NSA the other, and you'll get a program that tells you their objective is to follow every device on the network every minute of every day where it is. So that means what they're really doing then is that if you translate that into the effect, it's what they're watching is about, my estimate is as many as 4 billion people and their movements every minute of every day. And so what you're talking about there, about having this biometrics kind of tracking, would also fit right into that.
The part that bothers me is, like earlier, I heard Michael Savage talking about an article or this interview that NBC was trying to paint Putin and Russia as these really bad, evil people with the way they surveil the KGB, this, that, they take over the media. And every point of that article, Michael Savage stopped and he said, isn't that happening right here in America? And it was amazing. It was absolutely amazing that the media is trying to paint Russia as this snooping big brother, all this. Meanwhile, our country, if not as bad, is worse with all this.
If you took the quote from Wolfgang Schmidt, a former lieutenant colonel in the East German Stasi, when he reviewed the NSA surveillance program, he said, for us, meaning the Stasi, this would have been a dream come true. So, I mean, that tells you right there that, this is what I recognized initially when they started doing these programs in October of 2002 was when I first found out about it. 2001. And so that just tells you that they're trying to do exactly what the Stasi and the KGB did.
Where does this end? Or does it end? How much further can this go before the average, every single American, every single citizen realizes it's too late? They now have us all captured in this virtual jail or holding pen.
Well, that's hard to say. I mean, I don't. Bill and I were just in Europe attending the World Forum on Democracy, hosted by what is called the European Council in Strasbourg, representing 60 countries. It's bigger than just Europe. But you should have seen the interest, the concern over mass surveillance. It was palpable. People wanted to know more. Just extreme interest, and I think we've been spoiled, Phil, in this country. We're fat, dumb, and happy when you compare us to most of the rest of the world. And the average American just doesn't pay attention or participate in what everyone used to regard as the fight for freedom. We don't have a draft anymore. We have a volunteer force. We all used to have to go in the military and learn what it meant to fight for your country, give up your life if you needed to. We've just gotten away from so many of the basics, not to mention the education system, that I think everybody literally is kind of just in la-la land, going through life, worrying about the kids, this, that, and the other thing, and just doesn't participate in what I would call a stewardship of the nation, stewardship of the Constitution. And it shows. It really shows. So I don't think it's going to end until people demand that it ends. I think it would end, but people are not. People aren't even concerned that there's no oversight of any of this in Congress. It's just amazing.
That's the worst part.
And we're talking both parties.
Yeah. It's the whole. It's one big party down there, and you look at. Well, you guys know all the people that you've run across that claim to be targeted, harassed, tortured by this government. This type activity has to be accountable. Somebody has to be accountable for it. And if there's no oversight with this, then basically, what can we do to stop this stuff? And if the media, including Fox News, is going to stop putting their head in the sand, what do we have? What's left for media?
Well, we're rapidly going to a non-democratic state, that's for sure. I mean, everything is being done in secret, and everybody is being duped and lied to, and nobody's challenging it. Certainly not the press.
Well, that's true. The journalists aren't doing their jobs like they used to. Years and years ago, they would stick their nose and they would question everything that the government was doing. That was their job, wasn't it, as reporters and journalists?
That's why they're protected under the First Amendment of the Constitution. Their job is to find out what the government's doing and make sure the public knows about it.
But I think you guys hit it on the head when you said it's all about money.
It is.
And if you look at everything we've talked about, there's a connection to money, no matter how you slice it. And whether people are being paid off or given hush money to shut up, or their careers are threatened and they'll lose everything, but it's always about money. I don't know what more we can do other than just keep banging on the drum, and I feel bad because we have children, we have generations coming behind us, children, grandchildren, and that's why Wally fights like he does for his children and his grandchildren. What kind of future are we leaving for these people?
Well, they're going to pay off the debt we accumulate here through our irresponsible representatives in Washington, D.C.
Well, that's one of the reasons why we got this program. Phil wants to express himself because he can't get his thoughts out there, and this is one good place for him to do that.
Yeah,
And I'm into politics more so than what he is.
Sure.
And that's where I'm getting my say on different subjects and all that. And as far as our president is concerned, I knew from day one, before he was even president, that he's going to be trouble. And look what's happened to our country now.
Amen.
But it's an evil world, and I love to push the idea of faith, because that's the real victory for the human race, is when you die, you make sure you're going to the right place. That's the real victory.
A lot of it isn't only about money. A lot of it's about power. Because here we got people, and I'll use the Clintons for an example. They have foundation funds worth billions of dollars. They want the power. That's what they want. Power, 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 just like many, many of our politicians do. Instead of just coming and serve your country
around 3 words
and going back to work in your own community after your term is over, no, they want to stay on forever.
Well, I think it boils around to 3 words then, money, power, and control.
That's right.
That covers all those bases. Of course, they're dependent on one another, so it's a vicious circle,
Yeah, I have to agree with you.
So, Bill, you've been traveling with the movies still?
Yeah.
When will we see that in New England or in the States?
I think it's due for public release on in March of next year.
Oh, really?
They're still traveling around with festivals. They got eight more festivals scheduled, and another 12 that want to have it in as a part of their festivals. So that's like 20 festivals, and those are only the ones overseas. Nothing in the United States yet.
Wow. Well, they're smart doing it overseas first.
It's not going to be well received by the government of the United States, I'm sure.
No.
Well, they control the movie theaters too, because
I know, but they don't in Austria, for example.
I know De Sosa, who wrote a book about Obama and made a film out of it. All of the Southern Connecticut, only one theater ran it. And I requested that to play in other theaters, so I wanted to go see it, and they say they're not going to show it. And that's what they do. They censor it. That's what they do. And that's sad. That's sad.
Yep, that's right. That's control the flow of information to the public.
That's exactly.
That's what they're doing.
That's what you're absolutely right. You're absolutely right.
Now, Bill, you were on with Michael Savage, and I remember listening to that live, and I remember him. He was so impressed and so excited that he had you on there. And has he contacted you lately at all?
I don't recall anything, since that show. If he did, I didn't get it.
What's the latest with the targeting issue? Have you guys heard anything new or anything on that front?
Well, I think we can say that we've made progress in the sense, as you know, and I think we've said before on your program, Phil, we're working on a questionnaire that can lead to a database of symptoms that various people are incurring over time. And then when we can look for the trends and what that data tells us, we can then begin to plan an effort to define the next step. And that is, once you've got data behind you and it's unbiased as much as possible, you can really win people over to your cause. And that's where we'll need to have help from the media and some personalities, I think, perhaps some experts, some people good at speaking, that kind of thing. We'll have to develop a plan. So we're still at that formulation stage where we're finishing up the questionnaire. A couple of ladies have been working on it. Bill and I are soon to review it. We haven't seen it yet, but we're eager to do so. And then we'll go from there.
Well, from what I've heard is that a lot of the targeted community, all the, for the viewers, all the people being targeted by the government, tortured with these weapons, inflicted pain, sharp pains, shocks, zaps, whatever, headaches, and just vertigo, and a lot of these people are starting to work more together, common good, and I like what I've been seeing and hearing over the last couple months. You know.
Yeah, that's kind of a critical point, bringing people together, make sure they coordinate what they're doing, because, some people might know some things and others will know other things, and if they put it together, things might become clear, but if they stay separate like that, they won't realize what they jointly have.
Yeah, that's a very important point. And then what we could do, it's just occurred to me based on the experience Bill and I had last week with representatives from over 60 nations. We could get the leadership at the European Council to actually have a working group or a focus on that particular issue, which has not been featured there up until now. I mean, it hasn't been there at all. It hasn't even been discussed as an issue. So I'm sure that will be an opportunity for us to get the word out globally.
Well, that sounds great, and even though, as you know, people are being targeted throughout the entire planet. So whoever's using this, it's obviously every government is using this technology. Personally, I think it's like a Cold War, like an arms race, but a technology race, where if they're not in the lead with this technology, that in China gets way far ahead of us, we're all screwed. So that's my take on it. I think it's a huge money-making arms race. These silent weapons.
No, I think you're absolutely right there, Phil. I mean, that's basically the fundamental thing that happened during the Cold War. Everything was a race to see who could keep the highest technology in all the fields.
Yeah.
Tell me, help me out 1 minute.
Yeah. Meanwhile, everyone's suffering. All these people being experimented on. Listen, we only have a minute left.
Down at the bottom of the social network, social layering, are the ones who pay the price.
Yeah. So listen, Kirk and Bill, we only have a minute left. And for some reason, these shows just go so quick. It's frustrating, but we look forward to having you back on again in the future, and we look forward to having Thomas Drake on when he can get a chance to call in on a Monday night. So
absolutely, Phil. There's so much more to talk about, and always good to be with you on your program and do an update.
Great.
Yeah.
All right, guys. Well, listen, thank you, and have a good night. And hold on, Kirk and Bill, don't go yet. For all the viewers, I want to wish all the viewers a great night. God bless the viewers. God bless America. And Wally,
wake up, America!
Wake up, America. Good night, everyone.
Thank you, guys.
Good night.
Who decided they'd go kill some Americans. What difference at this point does it make?
And I look forward to continuing this dialogue in the months ahead. Thank you very much, everybody.